Title: The Doomsday Prophet. In a small, unassuming town, a man named Arthur had become a familiar sight. Every Saturday, he would stand at the corner of Main Street, a well-worn sign in hand that read, "Doomsday is coming." His wild hair and frayed clothes added to his eccentric appearance, but it was his intense gaze that captivated the occasional passerby. Despite his fervent warnings, most townsfolk dismissed him as just another crazy conspiracy theorist. Arthur had always been different. As a child, he spent hours poring over books about the end of the world, ancient prophecies, natural disasters, and scientific predictions. As he grew older, the threads of his research wove together into a tapestry of concern that he couldn't ignore. He saw signs everywhere: rising temperatures, strange animal behaviors, and news of geopolitical tensions. To him, it all pointed to a catastrophic event on the horizon. Despite his warnings, the town remained indifferent. Some laughed, others ignored him, and a few even yelled insults from their cars as they drove by. "Crazy Arthur!" they would shout, shaking their heads in disbelief. One day, after weeks of relentless campaigning, Arthur decided to host a meeting at the local community center. He sent out flyers and posted on social media, hoping to gather an audience that might take his concerns seriously. But when the day arrived, only a handful of people showed up, mostly curious teenagers and a few elderly residents who had little else to do. As Arthur spoke, his passion was palpable. He detailed the signs he had observed and the research he had compiled. He painted a picture of a world teetering on the brink of disaster. But as he finished, he was met with blank stares and uncomfortable shifting in seats. "Maybe you should try writing a book or something," one teenager quipped, eliciting a few chuckles from the crowd. Arthur felt a familiar pang of disappointment. As he packed up his materials, a woman named Sarah approached him. "I'm not sure what to believe, but I appreciate your passion," she said, her voice sincere. "What can I do to help?" Surprised, Arthur found himself sharing his thoughts and research with her. Over the next few weeks, they began to meet regularly, discussing various theories and gathering evidence. Sarah became his first ally, and together they expanded their efforts to reach more people. As news of their meeting spread, others began to join. Each new face added a layer of credibility to Arthur's message. Slowly, the community started to listen. They held discussions, organized cleanup events, and hosted informational sessions about environmental issues. Arthur's passion ignited a spark in the town, and people began to take their concerns seriously. Months passed, and the climate crisis intensified. Extreme weather events became more frequent, and strange phenomena that Arthur had predicted started occurring. People who once laughed at him were now reaching out, asking for guidance and advice. One stormy night, as Arthur watched the rain pummel against his window, he received a message from Sarah. "You were right all along," she wrote. "People are finally waking up." At that moment, he realized that perhaps he was not so crazy after all. He had become a catalyst for change in his community. With renewed determination, Arthur and Sarah continued to spread their message, turning fear into action. As they stood together at the corner of Main Street, their sign now read, "Change is coming." The townsfolk began to stop, listen, and engage. And while Doomsday was still a looming threat, they now had the power to shape their own future.